Let's go to Megan in Milwaukee. What's up, Megan? How we doing?
I'm pretty good, thanks. How are you?
We are rocking and rolling. So pretty good. So what does that mean? Tell me what's going on.
So my question for you today is, how do I set boundaries with my family after my dad's cancer diagnosis, being the only medical professional in my immediate family?
Oh, no. What a great question and what a miserable place. So tell me about your dad, man.
So my dad was such a hard worker. I mean, he was the type of guy that would help anyone out no matter what day, what time. He would always be there. So he was a guy who worked like 6-7 days a week, never complained, always, how can I help someone? And so this past fall, started getting sick, which he is typically never sick. So after a couple of weeks of in and out of the doctors, we found out that he had stage 4 renal cell carcinoma.
Oh, golly, man. So what's the prognosis? Is there a timeline they've given you?
So they haven't really given us a great timeline by any means, but like 5-year survival rates aren't good for stage 4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, within a couple of weeks of that diagnosis, we found out that he had a brain tumor. So it's kind of been one thing after another. He was hospitalized for a couple of months, and obviously navigating this in a pandemic has been
a nightmare.
Just kind of the extra layer. Exactly.
Yeah. And so what's your profession? You're a medical professional. You a doctor, nurse, practitioner? What do you do?
I'm a nurse practitioner.
Okay. Yeah, dude. So this is a simple fix, and it will feel hard. And if anybody, it's as simple as this. Do you have brothers and sisters? Who's contacting you? Everybody, mom, everybody?
So my brother really isn't in the picture right now. He's had his mental health issues over the years. So it's really my sister and my mom.
Okay.
And pretty much, the calls initially were, what does this mean? How do I navigate healthcare?
Right.
Kind of the logistical questions. And now the questions I'm getting are more, from my sister, she's called me numerous times saying, well, when is he going to die? Is he going to make it till his birthday? Like some of those questions, which of course I don't have answers to.
Right.
And my mom, it kind of goes back and forth between, I just hear fear and, being overwhelmed constantly in her voice.
Yep.
And so she at times is saying, well, he's declining. I think he's going to die soon. Mm-hmm. And then other times it's, well, no one's giving us a straight answer, and you guys as healthcare professionals, and so sometimes they get looped into the you of healthcare.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to offer support while offering information, but yet, especially during the pandemic, like I'm not at these office visits. Right. I've gone to, I think, one of his visits. I'm around, and like I work next door to the facility where he receives his care. So like I'm physically nearby, but I think the questions that they have for me, most of the time I don't have answers to, or the answers I have are not, I think for both of my parents, they're thinking that there's light at the end of this, that, cancer's not going to be around his entire life.
Gotcha.
And I'm seeing the other aspect where it's like, he may not be around in the next 5 years.
That's right.
And so trying to have some of those conversations while also not wanting to overwhelm my mom and also not having the full story because I'm not at all the appointments.
Yeah. Whew. So it's really common for people who do this for a living, what you do, to be faced with it personally and have it be unmooring. Because you may have talked to 1,000 struggling moms or struggling wives who are looking down the barrel of becoming a widow, right? Or you may have met with thousands of people who get a prognosis that is not good, of whatever that happens to be. And then all of a sudden it's dad. And all your academic training and all of your experience goes out the window because that's dad, right? And then everybody handles it differently. Just you describing your mom that's just ping-ponging through Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages, right? Like, I'm denying
Mhm.
this isn't real, to, oh my gosh, she's going to die today, to, you people, I'm angry, right? That's just she's in a grieving state, and she will be for the next 18, 24 months until this thing probably takes his life. And so I think at the end of the day, the best thing to do is to sit down with your mom and sister and be as honest with them as you just were with me, and let them know, hey, I am a nurse practitioner. One of the things I agree to do to people who I love is I will interpret. And so I'll be an interpreter. If somebody calls and says, hey, my kid just got diagnosed with this, or I just got this meds, what does this mean? I will say, this is what that means to me. Not going to give you counseling care for your kid. I can't be that person for you. I'm going to be your friend, right? I can't be my wife's therapist. Won't be. If she says, hey, I got this homework assignment, what does this mean? Then I might tell her, I might give that homework assignment to a client if X, Y, and Z. But I'm not ever going to be her counselor. I can't, right? And so I think it's sitting down and letting your mom and your sister know, hey, I'm grieving this with y'all, and I'm not in these appointments. I don't know, and this is my dad. And so I'm not going to be the nurse here. If you're comfortable with interpreting, right? If they can put you on speakerphone when a doctor is meeting with them, or you can step away and come over to a meeting just to interpret, great. But you don't need to be the person telling your mom that dad's got 16 months. That doesn't need to be your job. You need to be the daughter who hugs her mom when your dad gets a bad prognosis, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's one of those things that I immediately feel like when I'm getting a call from my mom or my sister, that I'm taking off the sister or daughter hat and immediately putting the medical hat on, because I know they're a mess.
So,
And so, you're trying to be like the strong person,
and hey, not your
but on
job.
the other hand,
Not your job.
I'm grieving this with friends and colleagues. Like, I don't feel like I can even grieve this with my own family.
So here, a great, great gift you can give your mom and your sister is what you just said. This is my daddy, not one of my patients. And I don't work in oncology. You might work in oncology, but it doesn't sound like you're a cancer doctor. And I don't know. All I know is that my daddy's really sick. It doesn't look great. And I need my sister and my mom. And if we get some news, some kind of medical jargon, I'm happy to interpret. But I just need my sister and my mom right now. And so please don't ask any more medical questions anymore. I don't know. I just don't know these things, but I know that I need you guys. And I think that conversation among three women who love each other dearly and three women who are hurting in unique and different ways will be really powerful and important. And for whatever it's worth, Megan, I'm so sorry that your dad is sick. So sorry.
Oh, thank you so much.
He's a good guy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that he doesn't say much, but he truly, he gives the shirt off his back.
He sounds like a 6 to 7 day a week working Midwestern male, right?
Yeah, and so I mean, for him, like, obviously I worry. Obviously, the cancer diagnosis in and of itself I worry about, but he went from being an independent guy to a feeding tube and a walker,
right.
and so I mean, everything's been stripped from him.
And the way you just described that is a very clinical way. And that's how you're trained to work through these situations. I want you to allow yourself, whether it's with your husband, hopefully it's with your sister and your mom too, allow yourself to just sit in the devastation of this powerful, strong man who carried us through life, now on a feeding tube. Right? There's a part of that has to be witnessed. You've got to go through that process. Holding this at arm's length like you do with your patients is a recipe for this thing hanging on to you for the rest of your life. And so don't rob yourself of the grieving process. Get right smack in the middle of it. And it will make you an empathetic caretaker moving forward. It'll make you a great sister. But most importantly, you get to be a celebrating daughter of a guy who carried the family through and is slowly leaving us, man. I'm grateful for your call. And we'll be thinking about you guys. We'll be praying about you guys. And But I think it's going to be a powerful conversation for you. I really do. And cancer sucks. I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. By the way, tell your dad that you love him. Make sure you tell him that a lot. Not as Nurse Megan, but as daughter Megan. Make sure your dad knows that. Write him a letter so he can read it. Tell him what a great guy he was, what a great example he was, what a powerful example he was, all those things. Let him know. Oh, man.